mentioninga ia le group le o whawhawhine Fuimaono. Ai se ai tā wai whawhawhine le tato community Samoa.
Kei loa ai ana. I was reading some very interesting research studies, and it's really, and it was a really good take on this. Now, there's been, I'm always interested in the meka ole gay gene. And it was true in the 80s that, you know, when was there such a thing why people are born or people are made? And the gene shows, and it was a really interesting research from America, was that when times of great need or like war or anything, that the women, the mothers, tend to produce like a hormone, and the children, or the male, are more likely to be somebody gay or whawhawhingi, who is a male, but they're usually a lot more gentler, and they're not sort of very, and so nature has a way of saying that what you're needing is somebody who are nurtured, not rather warlike, because this is the time when people, like different kind of people are required, who will nurture a family. And I think the biggest role that whawhawhinga that, well, I believe we have, is that role in families. It's in Angola, kausinga o mākua, and for me, as I said to you, yeah, my own personal thing, the kausinga. And when people said to me, one of your questions is, well, I was familiar with kausio kanaka, kausio mākua, so I'm familiar. Caring to me, or kausinga is very caring for me. I'm familiar with it. And just like every other Samoan. But ole winga o lokara. So to go back to the whawhawhingi, because you find that the role of whawhawhingi, I believe, is in the caring. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because it's families. Well, some people say, oh, that's like a domestic. Oh, however, no, but to me, that's our power. That's ole tausinga. I really like the work of Sister Wolia or Sister Vitolia Moa. You know, she does about tosi. You know, tosi is tosi ainga, tosi fua, tosi whanua, tosi, all that. It's a concept of tosi. And I really believe that, you know, for some of us, like whawhawhingi, have a natural inclination towards that sense of gentleness and power and really caring, but really, in particular relationship with their families, and particularly their mothers and sisters. So that's one. I think also for our thing, it's time, the context and the time environment has changed. Like there's a lot of, we know that in New Zealand, for instance, that we have had, you know, politicians, we have doctors, we have nurses. I think this, we're prominent amongst nursing Samoa. I think it's quite a natural inclination because they tend to look after families. Very important faction of Samoan society. Yeah, those of us also, then of course our families, because of our role as society. Then of course then some of us hold titles. Like I belong, and all of us, bar one, is we all have titles. You know, Leao, all those kind of names. It's because that's what our family, because our roles has come through our families. And kausinga or family to me, and especially the kausinga makuma kausinga ainga, it's the highest form of recognition for a Samoan.
Yeah. Oh. Ia wai ka ke whaalongoa fo inga le e iei fo i pei fo i ole mental health e iei ale kusikusi lima le o isi kangaka i le pei wha ese ia whawhawhine mai le kako community i le ka whaalongo le iei. So ole asa u whautuanga mo le community whawhawhine i le addressing la ia o tuenga negative ia.
Okay, let me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jan. This came about during the time in the 80s. I really got to know some of the churches.
Yeah.
They quote the Bible, the Old Testament. And yet we know for history, in history, you'll find there's whakawhine engaged throughout history. We know that in the Greece. We know that in Jesus' time there was. We know that. Because it's a note that one of the disciples would. We understand that. What I always say to whakawhine is this: before the missionaries came, around about 1830s, when the missionaries came to Samoa. Whawhawhine existed. And why do we know whawhawhine existed? Because there's early recordings of mahu, which is whawhawhine from Tahiti, Hawaii. Every island had their own. O le aukonga o le whakawhawhine, or whakaleiti, which is whakalady now, o le au Cook Islands, o le akawāine, o le whakawhawhine Niue, or the Mahu or Tahiti. These people actually existed before the missionaries arrived. So what I always say, before the Christians came, the Samoans had the whawhawhine. And indeed, we had this discussion with Tuputam Sese. And he said that even Mukalaanga o Moji Ainga, Mama o Ka, but I alwa ikua, you find the Yemo whawhawhine big titles. But because of the colonization now with the Christian thing, so you have a value, Christian values is Parangi, it's more Israelites, and versus Samoan. And that's where the conflict is. Because under the Samoan, whawhawhine is part of that ainga. O le ronga mo whawhawhine o kausinga mo ainga, malako a, if wanga lengla, kona ka fo e kausinga ainga, well, you can't. If only oisi they get married, they lead the family. Oh, like us, you mark woman is gone. But so that point is always there. But we always had that in Samoa, because early recordings of from particularly from Palangi writings, there's allusion to the whawhawhine, which is wrong because some of the church ministers are saying, oh, it didn't exist until the. That's rubbish. We know that whawhawhine existed. It's way back. Because the earliest sign is from a ship log in 1768 that recorded a mahu, that they thought it was a woman, but it was a mahu. So it was before the time. So historically, that's what I would say to whawhawhine. No, we have a place in Samoa. How that place is to be determined is between you and your family. Because some whawhawhine are not, rather than caring for their family, they care for them in a different way, like having, a lot of them are very, very senior in Samoa, in government, in law, in medicine, in nursing, and things like that. And they can contribute to the family. But historically, I just wanted to say that whawhawhine existed. And why we know we existed, because there was a name called wha'awhawhine. That was a Samoan term. Homosexual is a medical term, but whawhawhine is a Samoan term. So we know that because the other cultures also have a character like that. O le akawāina Cook Island, o le mahu, they're recorded.
So that... Tele lo whina lo Fuimaono, I le e fōlinga mai o le history, e tele history o whawhawhine tono le tatou atunu. Ia e peila e to e mai ala le ngaluenga ta o tono mental health. E tele nei tamaiti ma tangata e whawhawhine. E a fiola to mawhawhau e pe stress, e depressed me whapena. Ona o le acceptina I te tono la to ainga. O le malama fo I ma le se openness fo ina le talia I latou o latou o whawhawhine me whapea. Kusa la o vai le stress ma le anxiety. Le la laina o mai I le tono mental health. A le te whaalongo tu I lau saunoanga. E te le talaanga ma le au ngā o whawhawhine. They are a big part of our culture, tato community.
They're part of the culture because they had a word called invert. Invert, and then homosexual came under it was around by 1940, 50 that the word homosexual came in. That was the name. But whawhawhine existed in Samoa well before 1830s.
Okay.
They were before, so there was a history. But like colonization came in and they wiped it off. See, and it's not just the whawhawhine that was affected, also the role of women. And we all know that Samoa was the first tupu Samoa. But a lot of people don't want to know that. They say that Samoa or the sister or Maliakoa, because that's what the colonizers, they wiped all the women out. And the role of women, because we know that women in Samoan society held major titles. But after the colonizers came, the women were reduced and the men were up. Well, or no ke popolei on el mele or whawawhinga and some of the
Yeah.
gay things because on
Yeah.
the suicide. It's
Yeah.
highest amongst gays and rainbow. But on melan kupus whawawhinga lenga was awful lenga front page of the Observer.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, the Samoan Whawawhinga Association, le susunga Alex Ua, who's a lawyer, they objected and they removed it because it was disgusting. You wouldn't have your family
Yeah.
hanging picture of whakawhinge. But the point is that a lot of the churches, fundamentalist Christians, especially the new churches here, they come in with a very palangi method. That's not Samoan, Johan. I have a very strong view on that. Because during the homosexual law reform, we had that kind of Western, very much what right-wing type. It's not like the traditional Catholic. It's very different. This has got the new charismatic church. It's very, very right-wing. And that's also happened in Tonga and Fiji and Samoa. So, but it's against our culture. No. Samoa, we had whawawhingas well before the 1830s when the missionaries came.
Okay.
And they existed not just in Samoa, there was also throughout the Pacific.
Yeah.
But now that's why people like yourself, Joanna, it's very good, like academics. See, we've got whawawhinga academics. And now they're doing the writing, and so they've taken. I love this, or the foul. See, they foul because now they've got whawawhinga doing their masters. So saying, well, hold on a minute, here it is here, because I've read some of their brilliant studies. So all of it is to make sure that it's not about promoting sort of. No, it's not. It's just say we are Samoans.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not the same. Not all the Samoans are the same. We are different. But that's like a beautiful bouquet that makes Samoan beautiful.